Why do some companies ask their employees to come to work dressed as farm animals, while others make each member of staff dance in front of their colleagues before a meeting, and there have even been mandatory rock, paper, scissors tournaments all done in the name of building company culture? Well, in order to answer that, we need to go back to 2013. In 2013, Airbnb co-founder Brian Chesky wrote a letter to his company called "Don't F Up the Culture," a phrase first said by Airbnb investor Peter Thiel, and it has since become a classic text in startup circles. The following extract is from that letter, and it explains why companies are desperate, almost to the point of obsession, to create their own unique company culture. In organizations or even in a society where culture is weak, you need an abundance of heavy, precise rules and processes. The stronger the culture, the less corporate process a company needs. When the culture is strong, you can trust everyone to do the right thing. Ever notice how families or tribes don't require much process? That is because there is such a strong trust in culture that it supersedes any process. So basically, companies believe that creating a strong company culture will make employees more engaged and easier to manage. The overwhelming belief is that the right corporate culture gives the company a vehicle for making its employees more productive and creating a pleasant work environment. And companies are willing to go to absolute extremes to create this in their organizations. This is even more sought after because of the examples of very successful companies that seem to owe their success to their highly appealing mission statement and work culture. This not only helps a company stand out in a crowded marketplace, it also makes it easier for them to attract the best talent that are enticed by a certain type of work environment. Examples of such companies include Google, Tesla, Zappos, and Warby Parker, where employees seem to genuinely enjoy their work and appear to be highly satisfied with the benefits and community that comes with working in such a place. But these high-profile successes have made almost every company, especially trendy startups, attempt to copy this model. Sadly, many of them lack the necessary level of skill and sophistication of the top companies. In fact, most people experience company culture as oppressive, self-congratulating corporate cringe at its absolute worst. The almost sociopathic inauthenticity required of employees, the forced team building and extracurricular activities, the need to maintain a friendly mask at all times, the requirement to stay on message in every interaction, the soul-destroying use of policy to constrain and replace personal autonomy. And if you ask someone to recite the values of their organization, chances are they'll look embarrassed. But behind a business's own definition of its corporate values is a set of real beliefs that employees are supposed to honestly hold about their organization's identity and their place within it. If corporate values represent the real and genuine held culture and identity of an organization, there really should be nothing to cringe about, right? Well, there is a psychological phenomenon known as reactance. Researchers describe it as an unpleasant motivational arousal that emerges when people experience a threat to or loss of their free behavior. And it is very likely that many employees are very uncomfortable taking part in these condescending activities, but feel under pressure to do it because they can't afford to lose their job or miss out on the next promotion. But things get much worse because at the opposite end of cringe culture is the cult-like atmosphere that is becoming more and more common. One recent example of this is WeWork, a topic which has been extensively covered on another video on this channel. WeWork was one of the most successful Silicon Valley startups that was once worth $47 billion before it lost all of its value and filed for bankruptcy. Former CEO Adam Neumann pitched and ran WeWork like it was a cultural movement. The We Company had mass away days that were essentially festivals, where drugs and alcohol were allegedly actively encouraged. The company had a mandatory work hard, party hard culture where after work drinking was compulsory for employees. He would convince employees to take shots of pricey tequila, work 20-hour days, and attend 2 a.m. meetings. According to the New York Times, he would convince them to smoke marijuana at work, dance to Journey around a fire in the woods on weekend excursions, smoke more pot and drink more tequila. Neumann then bought the rights to the word we and stuck it on everything that he could: gyms, merchandise, co-living spaces, and even schools. The idea was that if you bought into it, you could pretty much live out every aspect of your life under the We brand. From the outside, the brand was starting to take on the shape of a cult, but many overlooked this because of the undeniable heights of success it was able to achieve. It's also interesting to note that the company has since faced several lawsuits related to sexual harassment, race, and gender discrimination. And the WeWork case study highlights one of the biggest factors and drivers of company culture: the CEO. In fact, some organizational research say around 80% of culture comes from its founder. And it's a foundational rule of business that companies will grow up to emulate the personalities of its founders, which is based on the idea that employees are really just along for the ride. But the terrifying thing is, it's usually the CEO's actual behavior, not their speeches or the list of values they force everyone to memorize, that defines what the culture is. Companies tend to reflect everything about them: their personality, strengths, and weaknesses. If a founder is competitive, the company will be more aggressive and competitive. If they are analytical and data-driven, the company will tend to make metric-based decisions. Also, it is well known that founders tend to hire, promote, and keep employees who are similar to them in their disciplines and approach, so it's easy to see how their outlook on life and work can cast a giant shadow over the rest of the corporation. The practical takeaway from all of this is that if you're going to go and work for a company, look at the founder, and if you don't want to be like them, then that company is probably not a great match for you.